It's been a while since I've done a reaction video, so I wanted to do one today dedicated to communication and relationship. Once I did a search fixed communication and relationship, I sorted by the video with most views, and this TED Talk came up. It's called Four Habits of All Successful Relationships by Dr. Andre and Jonathan Taylor Cummings. This is my first time watching this video. All I did is I essentially just kind of took some of the fluff away, the introduction, and got to the meat of the video. So let's go ahead and take a look and take a listen, and then I will give you my thoughts on this video.
Be curious, not critical, helps you get over the hurdle of frustration that comes from unmet expectations. Anyway, a few years old, we set up in business together, and it took us all of about 3 months before the wheels started to come off. Because very quickly we realized that our different work styles were grating against each other. For some couples, it's the toilet seat up or down. For us, the single biggest predictor was the state of our desks. One was very organized, yeah, and one was more like organized chaos, shall we say.
These little things will add up with couples. It's not just big things and big fights, it's these details, mundane, everyday details of life that will start taking a toll after a while. Because these little things becoming not so little after a month or 2 months of you constantly seeing it and dealing with it. Things are not being done to your standard, or things being too neat that you may think it's unnecessary, depending what side of a fence you're on.
Now, it was Einstein who said, you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that got you there. So in desperation, we looked around, we said, yeah, how can we change these mindsets that we have? And we came across a material that helped us understand that actually our biggest source of frustration was really just our strengths, just unrecognized, unappreciated, and out of balance. So habit number one, be curious, not critical, is all about investing the time to understand how we're wired differently so that we can learn to play to our strengths rather than waste time and energy criticizing differences.
This is valuable because we're all different. There is not going to be another person who is going to match with you in every single category. It's simply impossible. Being curious about this other person and leading with curiosity does make a lot of sense to me. If you are critical towards your partner, it's going to destroy a relationship. It's like a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time. No one likes to be criticized, even if they pretend it doesn't matter to them. It's uncomfortable. It's abrasive. It's bothersome. It can become quite heavy with time. If you're not a curious person and you want to have a good relationship, it's almost like finding a way to be curious. Like, hey, why are you doing this? Why do you like to have your desk this way? What it is about this setup that makes you feel good or that helps you in your workflow? Can you share that with me? Right? So if you're leading with questions and you're trying to learn more about the reasoning as to why your partner is behaving that way or doing something, it's only right that your partner should respond positively to that type of attitude.
So, given these differences, habit number two, be careful, not crushing, helps us get over the hurdle of poor conflict resolution styles. Our natural fight or flight responses are very me centered. It's about looking after me and my interests rather than being us centered. So we need to literally reprogram these automatic responses by developing the skills and habits that allow us to turn up better to conflict situations, to take care of each other through the process, to work towards genuine resolutions, no matter how angry we might be with each other. One of the disciplines that we developed was to set ground rules, which are boundaries that would control our behavior in conflict situations so that we didn't keep falling at this hurdle over and over again. For example, we agreed we would never hit each other, we would never walk up the house in anger, and we would never threaten divorce just to be spiteful. Let's face it, we're going to disappoint and frustrate each other from time to time. Anybody who says they never argue either lack passion or they are lying through their teeth. But habit two, be careful not crushing, helps us Learn how to work together, argue well, treat each other with care, and come out stronger together.
For sure. And
So I like this because there's some things that could be done in a relationship, as I mentioned in a number of my videos, to where there's no going back from it. If there are no ground rules and if everything goes within your relationship, you can do or say something that can truly damage your relationship by offending your partner, by saying something hurtful to them, by crossing the line. Sometimes these things happen. So these ground rules, in my mind, can really help eliminate that. If both people agreed on those things, and not just agreeing, but aware, like, this conscious acknowledgement of the fact that there is a number of things that I should not do or number of things that I should do to maintain a solid relationship. That is powerful. The example that she gave, they should never go out in anger and they should never hit each other. It seems like a common sense, but it happens in relationships. So if you are establishing these rules in advance and you talking about these rules, it can only be a positive thing in my mind. And how many people do you think actually do that? It is literally showing you like a tactical approach to a relationship that many people can look at and say, you are just doing too much. You overdoing this. We really need to be able to do all of that stuff.
habit number 3, ask, don't assume, helps you get over the hurdle of frustration that comes from mistrust and disrespect that can creep into relationships. So, back to Rachel and Steve. It turns out their single biggest challenge was different perceptions of respect in their relationship. Although they came from the same cultural background, Steve had grown up with a very traditional mindset. And his expectation was that his wife would be like his mum and do for him like mum did for dad. In fact, more than that, he expected that Rachel would become best friends with his mum and learn how to be his ideal wife that way. Rachel, on the other hand, she's thinking, on what planet? Because in her mind, they were never going to have a relationship that looked anything remotely like Steve's mum and dad's. Now, recognizing that they needed additional information to reframe the challenges in their minds, we shared with them some material around mutual respect and how to agree roles and responsibilities in the different seasons of life. And we were blown away when, literally before the week was out, Steve sent me a text to say, thank you so much. This has really helped us unblock some challenges and have our real proper conversation in years. So habit number 3 really is about getting good at having those courageous conversations that see us asking and discussing rather than assuming and stereotyping. And that
Courageous conversation. Courageous. It's not easy to ask for something, even from your partner. It's easier to assume. I also think asking isn't a threatening way to engage someone in a conversation. So when you ask your partner about something, that lets them know, do you actually care about their opinion? And the simple fact that they feel that you care can already enhance a relationship.
That leads us neatly onto habit number 4, connect before you correct, which is about learning how to communicate real value and appreciation and holding back on our insatiable need to give constructive feedback. When you live and work with somebody day in, day out, it is so easy to take them for granted or just to be constantly on their back. But as the saying goes, people go where they feel welcomed, but stay where they feel valued. So we need to be deliberate about finding meaningful, specific ways that build warmth in the relationship. And that can
That's so crazy. We just talked about warmth last weekend. This was not planned. She just said warmth in the relationship, and 100% correct. This whole thing is about building relationship. And it sounds funny because we are talking about relationship, but just because you are in a relationship does not mean that you building a true relationship with someone.
sometimes be simply breaking the routine. For us, we've been known to disappear in the middle of the working day to go to the movies after a period of intense workshop delivery. And 25 years on, we still take date night seriously to keep the fun and the anticipation and the intimacy in the relationship. Otherwise, we risk losing the magic and just become functional around the grind of work and talking about children and cooking and laundry. And we signed up for more than that. So, habit number 4, connect before you correct. Oh no, let's be real before I say that. If we get really good at connecting in our routine conversations, guaranteed you'll be connecting in the bedroom as well. So, habit number 4, connect before you correct, is about being deliberate about shifting that balance to connecting before we correct each other.
Yes, so much of it has to do with this emotional bond. That emotional bond must be there. And it does work, I think, a little bit differently for men. But regardless, we need connection with the woman as well, and not only in a sexual way. To build a long lasting relationship, it has to be more than just sexual. It has to be this emotional connection that both people feel. That's what's going to ensure that your relationship can continue on throughout the years, because relationship is not built on everyday things such as laundry, taking care of children. These are chores. Relationships should be built on a bond between two people. And if you don't spend time together, if you don't do something spontaneous, something fun and joyful together, how can you possibly build that bond? I do not believe that you can build a bond around house chores. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The bond has to develop through a mutual interest or things in common, fun experiences, things that you can both grow from. And in turn, the relationship is going to continue to exist that they have in that Avatar movie, except that in that movie, in the first one, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, the tree gets destroyed. So I'm not, the metaphor is your relationship can also get destroyed if you don't grow it like this beautiful tree. I'm on fire. Shout out to Valerie and Ivan for your incredible support with super thanks. Remember that every single dollar that you donate to my channel will be utilized to improve content of this channel. So I appreciate you very, very much. I also want to give a shout out to my new member, Becky. I'm super happy to have you join Prototype Fam member community. To learn more about membership options, take a look at the link that I left in the description of this video. This weekend, we're going to have another great live talk dedicated to communication in relationship. Make sure to mark your calendars. More information about this in the video description. I will be seeing you soon.